Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So if you haven't seen my episode on Feldon Ronom Excavator, make sure you check that episode out at some point because, yeah, there are some awesomely janky things you can do with this one. But don't leave just yet because on this episode, wait, this thing is a commander? But before we find out what in the world this commander is, well, blame Eddie in the comments below because if I make any mistakes during spoiler season, it's always Eddie's fault, not mine. Now with all that said, let's jump into it. And the brand new spoiler from Brothers War is Liberator Urza's Battlethopter. And actually, this is a, custom version of this card that I made on MTG.design. I mean, I just took all the words from that card and just put it on this because, yeah, the actual picture that we got, I believe, was probably from Magic 30. And yeah, it was kind of from the side and also kind of grainy a little bit. So yeah, I'm blabbering on now way too much. You don't care about that. You care about the card. Anyways, a 1/2 legendary artifact creature Thopter for 3 that has flash and flying. It also has you may cast color spells and artifact spells as though they had flash whenever you cast a spell. If the amount of mana spent to cast a spell is greater than Liberator, Urza's Battlethopter's power put a +1 counter on Liberator. So yeah, I believe this art was actually shown a little while ago, and yeah, when I saw it, I was like, oh, it looks like a pretty cool vehicle or something, yeah. And I definitely didn't expect, Thopter Commander, which I guess we already have a Thopter Commander, right? With hope of Girapur, but yeah, I definitely didn't expect to see another one, and one that actually has a good amount of potential. No offense to not Hope of Girapur, okay, you got potential too. Anyways, but yeah, this is a pretty spicy commander when it comes to a colorless commander. We'll talk about somewhat of a similar card to this one here in a bit, but yeah, not only having flash, but also giving all of your other colorless and artifact spells flash, which I guess is kind of redundant in a colorless deck, but that doesn't really matter, obviously, because, it affects other decks too, But yeah, I mean, basically, being able to just play at instant speed, essentially just having a Vidalcan Ori commander, is an incredibly powerful thing. Now, on top of that, of course, Liberator can actually become a decently large threat, throughout the course of the game. Early on, even if you're casting, smaller spells, you're probably going to get some counters on this, and, as you cast bigger and bigger spells, you can grow its power. I mean, you can even, utilize combat tricks, I guess, in a way, kind of, by, if someone blocks and I can flash in a couple artifacts, get this power up so that I can actually survive combat or take your opponent's creature out. Yeah, there are definitely some interesting things you can do with that. I mean, that being said, though, I do think, again, the most important part of this commander is most definitely, hey, you can essentially just play at flash speed. You have a Vidalcan Ori in the command zone because, again, every single spell you are casting in a colorless deck is either going to be colorless or an artifact. I mean, I guess it's always going to be colorless, essentially. But yeah, that's going to apply to all your spells. So in a way, this can definitely be a very draw-go commander. I mean, there's probably going to be some combat in there too, but yeah, essentially you don't have to cast anything on your turn if you don't want to. You can just hold all your cards up until right before your turn or whenever you need them. So I very much like the design of this commander, and yeah, I really do enjoy when we get some very playable colorless commanders because, well, there's just an interesting different take that you can take on colorless commanders. You can utilize cards that you wouldn't be able to utilize elsewhere, and yeah, you can really heavily utilize especially, utility lands because, well, those utility lands that just have for a colorless, that is just your color. You just get to be able to utilize that, essentially. Now, really quick before we jump into the cards to consider if you are building around this commander, yeah, if you are considering building around this new exciting commander, which just got spoiled, well, sometimes when new commanders get spoiled, their, cards that work well with them tend to go up sooner rather than later in price. So, yeah, make sure you check out my card list link in the description below. And now, with all that said, let's jump into those cards. But first, I mean, actually, this is probably a card you also do kind of want to consider as well for the deck anyways. I mean, Shimmer Mirror is a 2/2 mirror with flash that costs 3, and it says you may cast artifact spells as though they had flash. This was definitely the first thought that I had when I saw this commander. I was like, oh, I mean, this is like Shimmer Mirror in the command zone, essentially, but with additional things. I mean, again, this one only affects, artifact spells versus, your commander also affects color spells, which obviously is, a nice additional inclusion because there are definitely some color spells you're going to want to consider. We'll talk about here in a bit. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea to have somewhat of a backup commander in a way, kind of a Shimmer Mirror. If your commander keeps getting dealt with, and you just have, a heavy artifact deck, you can kind of utilize this as a secondary commander, essentially, when you need it. Now, obviously, Shimmer Mirror doesn't, just inherently get larger and larger throughout the game when you're casting spells, but still, it does kind of the main function of, hey, cast things at flash speed so you can, surprise your opponents or utilize your resources exactly when you want to. That being said, yeah, I can definitely envision, casting some large, very large creatures, because again, the more and more spells you're casting throughout the game, the larger your commander is going to be getting, as long as you're casting spells that are bigger than its power. And then all of a sudden, you're getting to the point where you're like, all right, yeah, I'm casting a Mirror Battlesphere for 7. Cool, I can just flash this in, which is fantastic on an opponent's turn. If, say, they swing out and attack you, you're like, okay, flash in Mirror Battlesphere, my commander grows, most likely again. When it enters the battlefield, I get 4 1/1 mirror. Awesome. I've got a ton of chump blockers, plus this, which can probably take something out in blocking too. So yeah, your opponent's going to be pretty wary when you've got mana up. And yeah, of course, being in a colorless deck, you can just utilize a lot of mana rocks and other ways to, generate mana. We'll talk about here in a bit. But yeah, being able to just flash in a Mirror Battlesphere, that can be very impactful. Or how about a Metalwork Colossus, which you're probably going to be able to just flash in for free. It costs 11, say 10/10, but it's going to cost X less to cast for X the total converted mana cost of non-creature artifacts you control. So once you get things going, once you get things built up, the more and more, even just mana rocks you've got in play, the cheaper this gets. And again, being able to flash in just a 10/10 out of nowhere can obviously be incredibly impactful. And speaking of a 10/10, well, how about a 10/10 that brings a friend like Desolation Twin, a 10/10 Eldrazi that costs 10, and when you cast this spell, you get a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. So yeah, again, flashing this in out of nowhere. Yes, it costs a bunch of mana, but again, we'll get to some ways here in a bit to help you out with that. But yeah, being able to flash this in, and also make another 10/10, being able to just block with 2 10/10s out of nowhere, that can really swing a game into your favor. Or again, just, right before your turn, just playing this and just having all of a sudden 2 10/10s to swing out with, your opponents can be in big trouble again. Now, of course, speaking of Eldrazi and speaking of your opponents being in trouble, yeah, the Eldrazi Titans are definitely going to be, considered for decks that, don't really have a budget requirement for, this kind of a commander. Kozilek, Ulamog, Emrakul, of course. The playable ones in Commander. I guess I'm saying, not the Emrakul that's banned. Anyways, just think about flashing in a Kozilek Butcher of Truth right before your turn. You're like, okay, for 10 mana, I'll cast this. Oh, I get to draw 4 cards. Awesome, replenish my hand a bit. And then all of a sudden, I've got a 12/12 with Annihilator 4 that my opponents did not expect to be coming out the next turn. But obviously, they're going to have to adjust their expectations and going to be losing some permanents again because of that Annihilator 4. Speaking of losing permanents, Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, a 10/10. When you cast it, exile 2 target permanents, indestructible whenever it attacks the main player, mills 20. Yeah, just being able to just flash this in and be like, oh, there's 2 pesky permanents I want to get rid of. Cool, let's get rid of those 2 out of absolutely nowhere. Now, good luck dealing with my indestructible Ulamog. That also can just mill you out, and yeah, again, with these, giant Eldrazi, you can definitely do some damage. Speaking of which, you can just damage someone's, hopes and dreams with Emrakul the Promised End, a 13/13. It's going to cost 1 to cast for each card type among cards in your graveyard. And when you cast it, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. After that turn, that player takes an extra turn, flying trample protection from instance. This can just really turn a game into your favor. Again, you could essentially just like, okay, I really want to take control of that player's turn, but I don't want other players to know when this is going to be coming. So right before their turn, again, even if they're not the next player, up essentially after you, you're just like, okay, flash this in. I'll gain control of your next turn. I'll really swing the game into my favor. Sure, you get an extra after that, but the board's probably going to be decimated at that point. You're going to just really throw things into chaos. It's going to be really fun, at least for you. And on top of that, again, you've got a 13/13 flying trample protection from instance. Good luck to your opponents. Now, speaking of Eldrazi, again, another way that you can take this deck is obviously, kind of a Voltron strategy. Again, your commander is going to grow throughout the game. And of course, you can make your commander even deadlier with an Eldrazi aura, like Eldrazi Conscription. It says enchant creature has +10/+10, and has trample and Annihilator 2. So yeah, just think about flashing this in before your turn and being like, oh yeah, your opponents are like, oh, that's not too threatening of a commander. Oh my goodness, it's now massive, has trample and Annihilator 2. Out of absolutely nowhere. Good luck, opponents. Or again, your opponents might be, calculating the math. Okay, I can survive if, their commander comes at me next time. I can take the commander damage. That's fine. And then before your turn, you flash in a Fire Shrieker, and then you equip it on your turn. And all of a sudden now, your opponent's like, oh no, now I'm gone. Speaking of which, you can really take advantage of Commander's Plate, a fantastic piece of equipment that is incredible in colorless decks. Quick creature gets +3/+3, and has protection from each color that's not in your commander's color identity. Here's the thing. Your commander color identity is colorless. So that means all the other colors, aren't in your color identity, so you got protection from every color and +3/+3. Yeah, this, of course, can be great. And again, there are plenty of ways to take advantage of the fact that you are in a colorless deck. For example, Gruesome Slaughter, which now becomes a lot better because you can cast this at instant speed, is a great card for a colorless deck. Until end of turn, colorless creatures you control gain. Tap this creature, deals damage equal to its power to target creature. So again, if you've got a massive army and you want to set yourself up for the win, well, I mean, just, right before your turn, flash this in, essentially. Say, all right, oh, by the way, I've got a board wipe, basically, where I can just take out whatever creatures I want to be able to take out. And then, next turn I'll swing out and take you all out. Or you can just take, well, everything out if you got the budget for it. All is dust. Each player sacrifices all colored permanents they control. So this completely whiffs you. It does not hit any of your things because, again, in a colorless deck, you literally cannot have, colored permanents. I mean, I guess if you're making a creature token that does it, but you know what I mean. Anyways, you're going to be fine. Your opponents will not be, and the vast majority of the things are probably going to get taken out with this. And again, normally this is a sorcery, and it's a fantastic card. But with this commander, you can flash this in out of absolutely nowhere to decimate your opponents. Basically kind of like a one-sided Cyclonic Rift, but potentially even better in many circumstances. Or, of course, other ways to take advantage of the fact that you're in colorless are with cards like, Forsaken Monument, Uga the Ineffable, and Mystic Forge. Forsaken Monument says colorless creatures you control get +2/+2, so that's already really nice. A good, big pump effect for your team. Whenever you tap a permanent for colorless, add an additional colorless, crazy, basically, double up your mana in a way. And whenever you cast a color spell, you gain 2 life. Yeah, that's nice. Just being able to just gain life throughout the game, you can really pad your life total. So yeah, this can do a ton of work. Speaking of a ton of work, there's Ugin the Ineffable. Just by being in play, this does a ton of work because it says colorless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. So that can save you a ton of mana throughout the game, even make, certain things free for you to essentially cast. And yeah, I mean, again, this also, has abilities that you can utilize as well. +1, exile the top card of your library face down, look at it, create a 2/2 colorless spirit creature token. The token leaves the battlefield, put the exile card into your hand. So essentially kind of, creature production / card advantage there. Or -3, destroy target permanent that's 1 or more colors. Obviously, that can really help out in a lot of situations. But yeah, even just being in play and just sitting there and reducing the cost of your spells can be massive. Speaking of massive, Mystic Forge can do a massive amount of work for you. You look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast the top card of your library. It's an artifact card or a colorless non-land card. Tap, pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library. And tap, pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library. So yeah, I mean, basically just, future sight for your deck, but even cheaper. And also, giving the ability to get rid of a card on the top of your library if you want to dig deeper and potentially get something else. So this can provide you an absurd amount of card advantage. And again, yeah, I mean, just think about the scenario, which is, obviously going to happen a ton with this commander, where you're just like, okay, end of my turn. Oh, let's look on top. Oh, cool. Let's flash that in. Oh, okay, something else. Oh, let's flash that in too. Let's flash that. You're just getting free card advantage out of nowhere, essentially. Just at the end of your turn, just utilize your mana to the fullest with this kind of a commander. Speaking of mana, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, you can really, really utilize some utility lands or just some great lands in, a colorless deck because you don't have to worry about mana fixing at all because, essentially all your lands are mana fixing in a colorless deck. Shrine of the Forsaken Gods has tap right colorless, tap red colorless, spend this only mana to cast colorless spells, activate if you got 7 more lands. Yeah, again, basically this starts off as just tapping for 1, eventually taps for 2 for all of your spells. So no downside at all there. I mean, slight downside, Ancient Tomb, tap for a colorless, it deals 2 damage to you. But yeah, I mean, that's a trade-off you're going to make any day of the week. You can get way ahead of your opponents really quickly with lands like these. And again, when it comes to utility lands, ones that can help you out in different ways, War Room can just tap for a colorless, and yeah, that's completely fine with us. Pay 3, tap, pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity, draw a card. I mean, that would be 0. We have 0 colors in our color identity, so pay no life, draw a card. Yeah, I mean, again, there are a lot of benefits for just leaning heavily into colorless, and you can take advantage of all of them, especially, again, with utility lands. I mean, again, like I mentioned earlier, no need for mana fixing, so Soul Ring is just even better in a colorless deck because it doesn't really matter. Again, that just taps for colors and not, colors, essentially. So yeah, I mean, flash in your Soul Ring if you want to. Again, you're playing, essentially, again, at flash speed with this kind of a commander. You can just do everything on your, end of your turn, and all of a sudden, you've got even more mana than you went into the turn with, and your opponents just, again, have to take a lot of things into consideration. Again, when your commander is essentially a Vedalken Ori that allows you to just play on their turns and do things, well, that you normally wouldn't be able to do. And actually, I believe I just said at the end of your turn. I mean, right before your turn. You know what I mean? And of course, I mean, there are other ways to, do an absurd amount of things on your opponent's turns. I mean, kind of like Ugin, there's other ways to, of course, reduce the cost of certain spells, like Joyous Familiar, which says historic spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, which counts artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. So yeah, take advantage of those kinds of spells. Foundry Inspector just reduce the cost of artifacts. Again, even just reducing the cost by 1, though, can make a massive impact and help you up, cast spell after spell after spell, essentially. And in a massive way, I mean, Mycosynth Golem can just be absurd in a deck like this. Affinity for artifacts. So although this costs 11, essentially at a certain point, it can really be free for you to cast, if you can get things going to that amount. Artifact creature spells you cast have affinity for artifacts. So yeah, this can not only be free itself, but essentially make all of your artifact creature spells free too. And yeah, I mean, again, once you get set up with a deck like this and really take advantage of those colorless synergies, there are some just absolutely busted things that you can do. I mean, just picture this with like a Mystic Forge in play. Have fun and good luck to your opponents. But now this episode is coming to a close. It's time for me to give you my final thoughts on Liberator Urza's Battlethopter. Yeah, when I first saw the art for this, I just, again, immediately thought, oh yeah, it's going to be a cool vehicle. Apparently, we don't have vehicles in this set. I'm not exactly sure why. Someone in the comments below, please let me know. It seems like a good opportunity for that, with mechs and stuff, but regardless, I did not expect this to be a commander. I didn't expect to see an extra Thopter commander, essentially, on top of Hope of Girapor. Thought that was going to be the only one. I, of course, was mistaken. Yeah, basically a Shimmer Mirror in the command zone, but of course, even better. Yeah, that seems like a pretty exciting proposition, so we shall see, the popularity of this one. I can see a lot of players out there being pretty excited about it. Colorless commanders are pretty unique, so yeah. If you are excited about Liberator, make sure you check out my card list, link in the description below. And yeah, again, if you're really considering building around it, make sure you pick up some of those cards sooner rather than later. And of course, make sure you're staying tuned to this channel for even more exciting quick takes and spoilers coming up. And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn here from you. So in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.